Hello everyone, and welcome to Nostalgia Bait, the number one podcast among people in this room. I'm your host Ryan, trying desperately to kill time before getting a real job, and this is my co-host Anastasia.
That's me.
Who is procrastinating their honours in the worst way possible. Now, this is the first episode of our podcast, we'll just give you a little introduction into what it is. Basically, we just want to do whatever we want and talk about all sorts of nostalgic stuff from our childhood, pre-teens.
Mm-hmm. We're both 2001 babies.
Yeah, both being 2001 babies.
Both born before 9/11.
Both before 9/11. Unfortunately, no real recollection of it, so no episodes on that. And basically, just for that weird little gap in between millennial and Zoomers and Gen Xers, where all the pop culture crosses over. And this podcast is talking about what we want to talk about, so if you don't like it, we hate you.
Find another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. No, please listen to this. Please listen to this one. We're going to cover all sorts of stuff, so if this episode isn't for you, just bookmark us, and hopefully there'll be one for you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we will be discussing mainly the PlayStation 2 era of Need for Speed games, starting with Most Wanted 2005. Look, I'd love to cover the first two Underground games, but this show is about our nostalgia, not yours. I didn't play those. Who cares? And later on, we're also going to be talking about the hit film starring Aaron Paul that was great and had no flaws. So, just as a little introduction. Need for Speed Most Wanted was developed by EA Black Box and released in 2005 and just smash hit straight away. Just 8.5s from IGN, loads of 8 out of 10s. I know personally, I trust IGN with all my ratings.
Yeah?
Yeah. They loved Garfield Lasagna Party. They loved this. No issues, with the exaggerated swagger of an entertainment journalist. Now, look, it boasted a great car list, notably Toyota, which is now no longer present in Need for Speed games due to stupid stuff. An amazing soundtrack with really great visuals for the time, including what everyone in the community lovingly refers to as the piss filter. The whole game has this yellow tinge over it, which, I mean, it really helps with, like, the grunginess of the game, but God, it just looks...
Yeah, maybe they should have gone for, like, maybe more green? I feel like that would be a little bit grungier than piss.
It's like the whole film, the whole game is taking place kind of mid-afternoon. In the mid-afternoon piss world. And look, this game is just entirely responsible for every single BMW fanboy you've ever met. Whether it's an ex-partner or someone you've met on the street. The hero car of this game, the M3 GTR, being based off the homologation BMW that they built for Le Mans, and then just a perfectly clean livery, side exit exhausts, roll cage, BBS wheels. It looks perfect.
I mean, it's no Hello Kitty Honda Civic, but it's a pretty clean car.
Yeah, well, we'll take your opinion there, Anastasia, and we'll deal with that later. And look, the game does such a good job to capture the essence of this car. You drive it for about 10 minutes at the start of the game, and then it gets taken off you for the entire game. So the story, should you be unaware, is it's pretty bare bones. It's mid-2000s racing game. A guy named Clarence, or Razor as he prefers to be called, and we're all for preferred names. You know, we don't want to dead name people, so we will be referring to them as Razor from here on out.
I think Razor is like the perfect non-binary name.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's up there with rock and sport.
No, Razor's definitely homophobic.
What?
Yeah, no, Razor's definitely a homophobe. Just he gives that vibe.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, look, let's just maybe say that Razor's trans-mascs. We don't know this.
You can be trans-mascs and still a homophobe.
Yeah, just look at Jesse Pinkman.
No!
So Razor steals your car, sabotages your car, mind you, at the start of the game, and then you just gotta beat all these assholes across the city to get your car back eventually. You work your way up the ladder, called the blacklist of the most wanted racers. And look, the cutscenes in this game are just a masterpiece of mid-2000s technology. So it's full FMV video, so it's real people walking around inserted into the green screen world with fake cars around them and everything. It's just terrific. If you haven't seen any cutscenes from this game, look up a quick little compilation from it, and it's just... Look, it's incredible. And each racer, each member of the blacklist, when you level up, is introduced with their own bio, their own FMV short, a set of photos... And just, it does such a good job at fleshing out these characters. It's a 1-paragraph bio, 3 pictures per character, and then just a little montage of their car driving around. And it's just a perfect balance of world building in such a simple way that really captures me and really makes these characters interesting. I think the most recent Need for Speed, Unbound, really tried to do this with their character bios, but it was just missing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say what, but just maybe it's nostalgia. Yeah. Maybe if we sit on that for another 10 years, we'll come back and it'll be the greatest thing ever made. Yeah. Like this is. No, it's not. It's almost 20 years old. Because it was 2005. 2005 was 18 years ago. Unless you're listening to this in the future, then get back on your hover car and get back to the Amazon camp. Now, unfortunately, podcasts are not a visual medium. We're going to have a little interlude here. I can't show you these fantastic designs and these fantastic characters, so I'm just going to bring a little game here. I'm going to show Anastasia 3 blacklist members and their little introductions, and Anastasia is going to rank them on their coolness, intimidation, and just their mid-2000s energy. So our first one, if you want to play along at home, is Big Lou. Now, Big Lou, before we started the pod, what did you have to say about Big Lou, Anastasia?
It wasn't Big Lou. Was it Big Lou?
Yeah, that was Big Lou.
Oh, I said that he looked like Eugene from the Try Guys.
Yeah. Noticeably, because I don't know much about Eugene. I believe, is Eugene Korean?
Eugene is Korean.
That's probably the only similarity there.
No, because in the other photo, it's not this one, it's the other one. He had the same hair and the black top that he wore in that serious video that they made about the controversy. And he's just like death staring the camera the entire time.
How long until we have a controversy? How long until one of us embezzles money a la Super Mega or... Yeah. I guess about 6 months. 6 months from publication. Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a controversy between us, though. I think it'll be like our accountant.
Oh no, I'm embezzling.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't have a business account, but as soon as we do, I'm skimming money off the top of that.
Right.
Yeah. Just to let you know. Anyway, let's have a look at Big Lou here. Now, the audio is muted, so we might skip ahead of this a little bit depending on the editing. But Anastasia.
Wait, he's got his tongue out.
Great sunglasses, and
he's with women. He's with women.
Now, Big Lou is a babe magnet. He is actually flanked at one point by 2 presumably women in other gold Mitsubishi Eclipses. Yeah. Anastasia, what do you think of Big Lou?
Well, he's a chick magnet, obviously. Yeah. Those women are clinging to him. Also, he is a Christian man, as you can see by his necklace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, there's no other reason that he'd be wearing that.
Yeah.
Once I had a friend who was wearing a cross as a necklace, and I asked her if she was Christian, and she went, yes, obviously. So now I know just not to ask.
Yeah, all Christians constantly wear cross-themed jewelry. We all know that. How intimidating do you think Big Lou is? You see him with his muscles and his sunglasses that don't actually look real.
I don't know, but that's what makes him less intimidating. I don't know. I'm not very intimidated by him. He's I I don't know. No, I think that he could be someone's dad, like someone's cool dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that he's cool. Like, he's definitely, if things get tough, he's got to bring out the big guns. Yeah. But for the most part, he's a nice guy. Yeah.
So, single dad Big Lou dropping his kid off at school in his high-performance Mitsubishi Eclipse. Yeah. I can imagine it. Now, our next great character we'll be looking at here is Baron. Now, Baron, if you've played the game, you know that his... Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's a different character. It's Earl. Sorry, Earl. Earl is a huge menace because his catch-up and rubber banding is just turned up to 1,000. So he's intimidating in-game. Let's see what Anastasia thinks of him.
Ooh. He's got his car keys.
Mm-hmm. And a cool jacket.
I don't know, he looks like he's offering his car keys up. He looks like a friendly guy. He's like, hey, you want to take it for a spin?
Yeah. I think he looks like the rapper Skepta.
I don't know who that is.
You know Skepta? If I'm wrong, this bit's getting cut out.
If you're racist.
I was imagining a picture of Skepta in a bucket hat that I don't know where I've seen before.
Let's full search up Skepta bucket hat.
Alright, Skepta.
Bucket hat. It's literally one of the first.
Alright, there, good. Alright.
It's just the bucket hat.
Here he is. Here's Skepta in a bucket hat. And that vaguely looks like Earl. Anyway.
I can see it.
Yeah? I reckon he's intimidating.
Yeah, no, I think he's definitely intimidating, like, because I think that I joked about him offering the keys, but I think that he's just kind of, well, what's he doing with his other hand? He's just...
He's gesturing.
He's just gesturing. Like, hey. He's like, I have a cool fucking car.
Yeah.
And I'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
He could be, like, dangling the keys and going...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd say he's pretty intimidating. Yeah. And yeah, that bucket hat goes hard. Yeah. And has he got an ear piercing?
Yes.
Oh, that goes hard.
It's 2005. Every man had to have an ear piercing.
Yes.
Yeah. It was part of, well, look, in the States they had to. In Australia it was less lenient, but in the States every man had to have an ear piercing.
Oh, your dad? Both of our dads have ear piercings.
Yeah, exactly. And
mine has much more than yours does.
Yeah. And now our final one, Bull, who may be the one that Anastasia thought looked like.
Yes! Okay. Yes, okay, so you're the racist one, saying that Yeah, that was the guy that I was looking at.
Well, what do we think of Bull? Bull, he's much more relaxed, shall we say, in his designs. His car's all black.
Is he a fisher? It said he would be down at the dock.
I don't believe he's a fisherman.
As in, like...
I believe that's where he races, is the docks. I don't think he fishes. But
it said if it wasn't for Razor, he'd be down at the dock. I thought that meant that he was a fisherman.
I don't know. I've never considered that. I've never read into these bios so much. I think that he might be a former fisherman.
Bring the bio back up. If it weren't for Razor, Toru would still be hanging down at the docks dreaming of the blacklist. So he's fishing and he's thinking about cars, right?
I guess. Maybe that's where he used to race at the docks?
I think so. I just read.
Oh my god. Well, who out of the three we saw here today, who do you think would be the coolest one? Big Lou, Earl, or Bull?
I reckon I'm gonna have to go with Earl. I reckon
Earl. Yeah, I could see that. Now, dear listeners, you too can play at home by going through and looking at those cutscenes because it's just a wow of a time.
Yeah.
And a true time capsule of.
And please submit your answers by sending us a letter that simply just says Earl.
Just Earl.
Yeah.
P.O. Box.
No, our house.
Oh, we don't live together.
Well, one of our houses.
Parliament House. Send a letter to the Prime Minister Send it to Albo.
Yeah.
Say, Dear
Yeah.
Mr. Albanese. Or if-
Earl.
Earl.
Bull.
Bull.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you have another character. Maybe Ronnie. Maybe
Yeah.
Jules.
Yeah.
But you got to let Albo know, and hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'd vote Liberal if they came out in full support of Need for Speed Most Wanted aesthetics.
Isn't Albo Labour?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would vote Liberal. I would change. Look, all I'm saying is, if ScoMo dressed like Bull, he'd still be Prime Minister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see now.
Okay.
I see now.
Moving on, probably for the betterment of both of us. Look, the soundtrack of this game is impeccable. Rap, rock, electronic blended together in that perfect combination, and one of my most listened to Spotify playlists is the Burnout 3 soundtrack and this one just blended together.
Mm-hmm.
Ninth Thou, I Am Rock, Sets Go Up, Shapeshifter, just all bangers. Shapeshifter being my personal favourite. And look, and honestly, this soundtrack is the reason for my speeding tickets. That is half a joke, but that's also a half good honest truth. You can't listen to this music without wanting to fang it through a red light camera.
Yeah.
And get 3 demerit points and pay a $363 fine. That'd be a joke if it wasn't actually true. It was near the Sphinx, if anyone.
Good old Sphinx.
Yeah, the good old Sphinx. That is a real deep cut reference there that I reckon about 1% of the population would get.
Yeah. Well, see, okay, I think we need a preface. We're not talking, if you're not from Australia.
Oh, not the Egyptian Sphinx.
Not the Egyptian Sphinx.
This is a tacky pub.
Yeah. So it's the great thing about the Sphinx is the outside is in the shape of a Sphinx and it has, loose Egyptian Egyptian theming.
Mildly offensive, but not to the point where you're actually upset with it, but more to the point where you're confused.
All of that theming goes straight out the window as soon as you step into the Sphinx. And then suddenly you are just in any other pub and you can hear the blaring sounds of poker machines.
Yeah, and that's honestly why I wanted to speed a great speed away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back to Need for Speed.
We could be talking about icons all day.
Don't dox us.
People are going to Google the Sphinx pub.
Yeah. There's one in the actual Sphinx. It's where the nose used to be. Look, this game was one of the first games I ever got on the PS2. I got it quite a few years after release, obviously being that I was 4 years old when it was released. But I loved everything about it. Just gameplay, the presentation, the music, all just combines to make one of my favourite games of all time. I replayed it quite a few times since, still holds up somewhat today if you can deal with the rubber banding and all that crap, but I hate to be the nostalgic, they don't make them like they used to, but that's kind of the vibe of this whole thing here. And I think just for simplicity's sake, games are so complex nowadays, you couldn't make and release this and it'd be good.
Yeah.
But going off on that, with how simple games were back then, it took them 1 year to make a sequel to this. It took them 1 year to make Need for Speed Carbon. Which, Need for Speed Carbon, the sequel, was another pretty great game. More FMV video, the car list expanded somewhat, but it just doesn't really hit the same heights as Most Wanted, but it is still quite good. I think one of the biggest issues with it is the personalities from Most Wanted are missing. Sergeant Cross reappears and returns and still does great. But otherwise, most of the characters are nothing. It feels very Fast and Furious 1 and 2 in that regard. It's over the top, but not to the point where it's super interesting. but just where it's just not quite enough of stupid. Still great, don't get me wrong. The livery editor and body kit stuff gets way more complicated. You go from preset liveries and preset parts in Most Wanted to auto sculpt in regards to body kits. You can change the length of spoilers and lips and all this other fun stuff. An actual livery editor, which you're probably more familiar with modern games, Gran Turismo, current Need for Speed, moving shapes around, all that. That was way too complex for my 11-year-old brain. I wanted the game to put flames on the car.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to move the flame. It was too much for me. It's fine now, but as a kid, everything I made was hideous. And I think the preset liveries from Most Wanted were definitely better in that regard. Look, nowadays, once again, probably wouldn't fly preset livery stuff, and it was definitely an earmark of what's to come and set it up, and look, honestly, handled it pretty well, but it was the growing pains of switching it for me. And look, and if you ever want to replay Need for Speed Carbon, we're skimming over it here a bit, there is a mod called the Battle Royale mod for the PC version of the game, and it is incredible. It really fiddles with the progression of the game, makes the smaller crews a bigger factor. It
turns it into Fortnite?
Vaguely.
Okay.
Look, it's the map of the game, you're conquering districts off of other drivers, other crews and stuff. And basically it just separates those districts into even smaller, makes the game longer. And it just makes it better. It just makes it better, and unfortunately, no John Wick, like you might hope.
What about Battle Bus?
No Battle Bus either.
Can't even thank the bus driver.
You can't even thank the bus driver. And look, that is a little disappointing.
Oh.
And look, once again, the story is simple. You drive to Palmont City after the events of Need for Speed Most Wanted. The BMW is destroyed. Depressing, you race some guys, you own the city, blah blah blah, whatever. It's simple, but that's not what we're talking about here. I want to talk about right now the portable counterpart of Need for Speed Carbon. Need for Speed Carbon owned this city. Now, this is from the time where every game was released on every platform. Need for Speed Carbon was ported to 14 platforms, including DS, PSP, and mobile. You could play this on mobile, and not like first-gen iPhone, physical button mobile game.
Oh my god, it cost money, right?
I don't know. I only ever played it on someone else's phone, so I can't.
Right.
I did actually play it. It was weird. It was fun. It was tricky. Well, maybe it's because I was playing it on the bus when I was 9, but it was pretty good. But anyway, the portable version called Own the City, fairly similar in gameplay. You've got your crewmates, you're trying to get the districts, whatever. Mainly to scale down. Even the map and soundtrack is really similar, but the story is insane, which brings us to our next segment. Anastasia tries to guess where the story of Own the City goes.
Oh god.
Now, Anastasia, how do you reckon the game starts? Out of these three. A, the player's car is destroyed by a rogue police officer with the player vowing to get revenge. In a race with the player character's brother and 2 others, the brother is murdered and the player character gets amnesia. Or the player wins a race against their brother, who then gives them the player's first car for the start of the game.
Okay, so we got A. A is pretty simple.
Yep.
So if you're saying that it's an insane story, that just seems way too simple. Number 2.
Murder.
It's for the DS.
Yeah. And PSP.
I mean, no, PSP still had a fairly young audience.
Yeah.
But DS is like, if that was on your R4, it's going to be a little kid playing it.
Yeah.
So surely it'd be C.
You would of course be wrong. The player character's brother is murdered in a deliberate crash, and the player gets amnesia.
How old were you when you played this game?
I didn't quite comprehend everything that was going on, but I reckoned I was around 9 or 10.
I don't know. know how to spell amnesia when I was 9 or 10.
I don't think I understand the full gravity of the game. Of course, I played a lot of it on mute, so I had to read the subtitles, and then I wouldn't read half of it.
Okay.
But, yeah, crazy start to the game. So they team up with their brother's girlfriend, ex-brother, and their brother's former wingmate.
It's still their brother!
Yeah, but...
I thought you were going to say, brother's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, I guess.
Is it your ex if your partner's dead?
Viewers, there's another question that you should write to Parliament House. Are you someone's ex if they're dead? If you never officially broke up, write to Parliament House and tell them, what is your opinion? Is someone an ex if their partner died?
Or they still consider your girlfriend, because like if your partner dies and then you get a new girlfriend, my old dead girlfriend or my ex,
Is Tony Stark in, spoiler alert by the way guys, stop listening to this if you haven't seen Avengers, the 14th one. Is Tony Stark Pepper Potts' ex-husband? If she were to marry someone else, would she have two husbands or an ex-husband and a husband?
I feel like when it's marriage, it's different, because then you just refer it to like as my first husband.
I think I mostly just wanted to bring up Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
L.
Yeah. I simply...
R.I.P. Bozo.
If he had tried Tokyo drifting into Thanos instead, I reckon it would have worked. Now, how do they track down clues? Now, do they look over the crashed car and have a Memento-style memory a la Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious 4, figuring out what character hits the car? You haven't seen Fast and Furious 4, have you?
No, I've only seen 1 and 2.
Okay, well... Do they team up with a corrupt undercover police officer who then goes on to arrest who they think planned the brother's murder? Or does the brother's girlfriend take the car to a special mechanic who recognizes the car as the target of one of his former employees?
You really, if B is wrong, then you're really going into this this corrupt police officer thing, unless that actually is the answer. But looking over a crashed car, I don't know. I know that Amnesia's whack enough, but kids aren't gonna piece together the Memento style shit. They barely have many memories of their own. They're not going to be able to emphasize with flashbacks.
Yeah.
Surely, if you I'd say C. Because,
C? The special mechanic?
Yeah, because it's that's kind of... I watch a lot of Law & Order SVU, and, you find leads like that.
Yeah, you watch a lot of Law and Order SVU?
Yes, I do.
What's the main character's name?
Olivia Benson.
Oh, shit. I thought you were doing a bit.
No. Olivia Benson and Elliot Stabler.
When do you watch Law and Order SVU? When does this happen?
I don't watch it as much anymore, but I used to watch it all the time. Okay. My parents have the first 14 seasons on DVD. Basically, they have up until Elliot left.
Spoilers.
It's an old series, man.
Oh my god. Well, of course, you'd be wrong again. And the corrupt police officer arrest crew boss X, EX, not the letter X, EX, all caps, whom the player was led to thanks to the racer Buddy. Ooh, Buddy. He sounds like a trustworthy fellow.
Yeah.
So, is this correct? Who really killed the brother? Was it X in a fight for territory? Was it the corrupt police officer, sick of reckless races, then framing the other boss? Or was it something even more insane?
It had I'm not even going to bother going through those answers because
you know it's not either of them.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
It has to... What the fuck is it?
Well, of course, the answer is C. As it turns out, now, in this DS game for children,
yes.
As it turns out, the player and the girlfriend organized the hit on the brother themselves. That's right. He was abusive to the both of them. And so that whole game, we're tracking ourselves down, having gotten our abusive brother murdered in a street race. Yeah, I was 11 when I played this.
Wait, does the girlfriend have amnesia?
No, she remembers. She disappears for like the one of the latter parts of the game because of her growing guilt of not knowing how to tell you, the player, what really went down.
Right.
So, yeah, that's what it is. You and the girlfriend organized to get your brother murdered because they were abusive. You then forget the abuse and the plan in the first place, and you're tracking your own footsteps as you go. Now, I can't remember specifically who still actually, I still think X might have been the one who actually crashed into the brother.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember that entirely, but I was 11 when I played this, man. It reads like a script that it would star Matt Damon.
Yeah, and it's insane that that's the story just for the handhelds.
Yeah, this isn't the normal version of the game. This
if it had been for both, then yeah, I'd kind of understand. That seems like much an edgier story that would be, and also be much more easier to understand if it was on a proper console rather than a little tiny DS.
You got to be reading the subtitles for this. Now, look. Joking aside, all the craziness with the story, this was a really good game. I loved it. I played through it multiple times. Probably figuring out the story on my 4th playthrough. The cutscenes were done in comic panel styling. It wasn't really crappy cutscenes. They were really good. Just single shots of the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Look them up if you find them. They're really cool. Really, really cleverly well done to make up for the DS's shortcomings. In-game, pretty good graphics, nothing to write home about, but I think one of the best things about it is the amount of the soundtrack that made it over from the main game. Now, what I remember is pausing the game when Joker and the Thief would come on so I could listen to the song.
Nice.
And then keep playing the game so I wouldn't finish the race and end the song prematurely. Now, I also think that, from my memory, the songs were also shortened.
Yeah.
So each song was cut down somewhat to help increase the variety of the soundtrack. I feel like each song was cut down to maybe 2/3 or even a half. And I think that was a really good idea. I think the increased variety of the soundtrack really helped Little Me Brain. It was a really good design choice to get around the DS's limitations.
It's good when a game actually knows its limitations with the DS.
Yeah, I think compared to the handheld version of Need for Speed Most Wanted, which was a disaster, and then Undercover again, which also sucked, this game was really well done, and it showed a lot of love and care put into the handheld version of the game. And just once again, a relic from a bygone era of gaming. We don't get versions of games on every single console now, which is probably for the best. But it's not like there's a 3DS version of the latest Need for Speed or anything like that. And I think that's something that we really miss out on nowadays. Not that I'd play any of them, but just a little cool relic from that era of gaming where they're just trying to shove as much out onto the marketplace as possible. And now that sort of concludes our sections on the games for today. And now we're going to jump ahead a bit. Still Need for Speed. We're going to jump ahead to 2014, which saw the release of the moderately successful Need for Speed film adaptation, starring just an absolutely star-studded cast of Aaron Paul, peak off Breaking Bad, Rami Malek, Kid Cudi, Dominic Cooper, Michael Keaton, and a woman whom I have had a crazy crush on since I saw this film, Imogen Poots, funny name aside. Now, look, one unfortunate thing about this, I did some research before we watched it a few days ago to help prep. But for research before that, it doesn't pass the Bechdel test. There are 2 named women in this film, and I'm fairly certain they're not even in the same scene.
No.
Yeah. They both love Aaron Paul, though, and for that, can we really judge them?
No.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved this movie. I saw it in the theaters on release with my dad. he enjoyed it as well. Compared to, of course, this was before The Last of Us and a few other things. The state of video game movies before this one, especially, is abysmal. Like, even slightly better ones like Lara Croft Tomb Raider or the aggressively mediumly okay Doom movie that also sucks. This movie was fine.
Yeah.
It was good. It was nothing crazy.
I liked it because it feels like a Need for Speed movie, but also if you just like cars and you don't necessarily play video games, then you can watch it.
Yeah, you can definitely watch this movie. Look, not that it's without its flaws. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes long, and sometimes you really feel that.
Yes.
Well, I'm just going to spoil the film from here on. Once the Mustang gets T-boned after the driver's meeting, it's like 20 minutes to half an hour before they pull up at the start of the De Leon race. Yeah. And by God, it's boring. It's just darkness and sad and talking. And it ran. Look, when you get to that point in the film, they find the Agera. You don't need to worry about it. He gets it. Skip ahead until the start of the race because Jesus Christ. But yeah, like for a video game movie, it really hit well. I think it's just great. Look, I may be blinded by nostalgia.
Well, as someone who was never into Need for Speed and stuff like that, I genuinely enjoyed it. So
yeah,
I would say it was good. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, and
why don't they make fun movies?
Why don't they make fun? Everything's got to have a girl boss, LGBT, peach girl boss, Barbie Oppenheimer. Have you considered that?
Yes.
Now, well, look, just going through my notes here from when we watched it the other day, because, you know, I watch Mr. Sunday Movies. They talk about taking notes when they watch films, so I had to. Shout out to Mr. Sunday Movies. Watch that YouTube channel. The opening race of the film as they race away from the drive-in, there's no score for, like, more than half of the race, and it slaps. Just the V8s revving and sliding and quips.
Yeah.
Great. Second thing, how old is Petey in this film?
He could be anywhere between 16 and 25, honestly.
It is impossible to tell. I think Aaron Paul's character seems to be like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like Aaron Paul doesn't pull off the hairstyle that well. He looks, compared to watch the last season of Breaking Bad and the bald hair.
Doesn't he?
He's
in
got
this
like,
movie, he's just got like kind of the
shaggy and
the shaggy like season 1 Breaking Bad.
I don't like it. Yeah, but
what?
But season 1 Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul hadn't started male pattern baldness yet, so I feel like it's just. Oh, I love Aaron Paul. Look, you just gotta make fun of it a little. Second thing, this movie is filled with slow-mo. In every point.
Yeah.
When something good is happening, when something bad is happening, when someone's dying, when someone's cheering. This movie is filled with it. I think without the slow-mo, this movie would get under 2 hours.
Yeah.
If you cut out all the slow-mo, I reckon there is at least 10 to 20 minutes of slow-mo.
Yeah, damn.
That may be an exaggeration.
Maybe we have to time it.
Yeah, we'll go through.
Yeah, we'll put it on socials.
Yeah, if we remember, we'll go through our socials, or we'll pay someone on Fiverr to do it. Second thing, I don't watch a lot of Rami Malek stuff. He sounds like he needs a decongestion tablet.
What?
I love him. His voice just sounded off through most of the film. I don't know why.
You've played Until Dawn.
I have. I don't know. Look, I love Rami Malek. I think the whole cast in this movie is great. But I got to pick on him a little bit because I can't think of anything bad to say about him otherwise. He was so fun.
He's so perfect.
He's fun in this.
Yeah.
He's quite funny.
Yeah.
His character is funny. You get to see his bare ass at one point.
Yes.
Going down the list, did you know that Imogen Poots is not like other girls and she knows about cars?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, okay, at first I rolled my eyes at it, but it actually grew on me. It wasn't like the aggressive, I may have my tits out, but I know cars. Like, she actually, I thought it was a really cool callback later on in the film when they're talking, when she's in the servo.
Mm-hmm.
Petrol station.
Petrol station.
The police officer, and then she just immediately ducks.
Yeah.
Which is like the worst mistake.
I think one thing that really helps is that she's not. Look, there's a few gratuitous shots of her bum and stuff like that, but I think she's not constantly sexualized, a la like Megan Fox as an example.
Yeah.
Which screw you, Michael Bay, but like a la that kind of character, she is a bit deeper than that. I just feel like her introduction to her character is a bit humorous.
What I was gonna say was when the police officer asks, like, so that's not your Mustang outside? It's like, Mustang? Isn't that a horse?
Which, being an American, she should know what a Mustang is. With her, the accent that she puts on. Yeah, she was
pretending to be a Texan.
Yeah, and they know what cars are over in America. Now, the next thing, the setup of the film of Aaron Paul going to prison for like 2 years or something, because they're racing 3 Koenigseggs, Petey crashes and dies. One of the Koenigseggs is bright red, the one driven by Dominic Cooper, the bad guy. Yeah. They talk about how no witnesses see the bright red Agera.
No one saw it.
Which is insane to me. Like, he even maneuvers Petey's car. There's no red paint on the white car, and they're like, where'd this red paint come from on this white car? Look, it's a little sloppy, but honestly, to set up the film, what else are they going to do? Rami Malek sexual harassment in the workplace. Stripping naked, walking down the hallways, kissing a woman for about 15 seconds.
But you've got to remember, he had a very valid excuse.
He didn't want to come back.
Yeah, he was like, I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't come back. And not because, oh my gosh, it'd be so embarrassing to go back after that. It's because his workplace had put a restraining order on him.
Yeah, they would. Yeah. Michael Keaton is the original Twitch streamer throughout this film.
Totally.
He's just talking. He's like German.
Side German, I named.
Yeah, we got Michael Keaton. Look, I would watch a stream of Michael Keaton talking about racing cars for days at a time. I think Michael Keaton's character is really interesting. Just talking about how he might have sponsored Formula One teams under fake names, like just that he seems to just love racing and wants to see cars go fast, no matter what chaos it causes. Dino, Dominic Cooper's character, well-known professional racing driver, spoken to have raced Indy cars, puts a hit out on Aaron Paul's character and says, I will give you my multi-million-dollar car. He doesn't say murder, but if he says to make sure they don't make it to California. I get that this is like an underground stream because it's street racing, it's illegal, maybe it's for only those in the know. The cops would know. The cops would be watching. They might not be able to do anything about it, but they would then see, oh, Dino Brewster. That's like Craig Lowndes coming out and saying, I'm putting a hit out on this dude in Melbourne.
Yeah. I think that, honestly, I feel like it's ninja energy. I feel like that's something Ninja would do.
Yeah, I can see that.
Ninja he would get like, because like, you know, he had that history of any time someone killed him, he'd report them for stream sniping.
This time, he just gets someone to go to their house and kill them. Yeah, I could see that. Dominic Cooper equaled Ninja.
Yeah.
Now, Petey's sister, 2 years of not suspicious about Petey's death, gets slightly suspicious after listening to Imogen Poots' character rant for like 5 minutes about a story that apparently everyone knows. Aaron Paul even says, everyone knows my story. Petey's sister only then gets suspicious, spends 5 minutes on Dominic Cooper's computer, and finds the murder car instantly.
Yeah. But the police couldn't.
No. Not talking to the effectiveness of the United States police departments in general. She finds it instantly. How has she not been suspicious for 2 years? It's one scene. There's no cutaways. It's not like she's investigating for like a couple weeks. She goes on his computer, clicks on 3 folders immediately.
Yeah.
Finds the murder car. It's just insane. And also, one thing I noticed throughout this whole film, everyone is really hunched over the wheel when they're driving.
Yeah, they got their seats forward.
Yeah,
I don't.
I assume that's something to do with camera shots or
totally.
whatever. The actors aren't actually driving, so they, you know,
It's probably
throw them in the car.
It's probably a framing thing.
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
they're
exactly.
more in the frame.
Yeah, so you don't have to have the wider frame, the camera. Look, they're filming in a lot of expensive cars. It's not like you can just knock out the windshield and get a different camera angle like you could if it was a Crown Victoria or whatever. Just a little niggle. And just everyone in this character is just kind of a dork, and I love it.
Everyone in this character?
In this film. Every character in this film. Yeah. I know how to speak English. Everyone's a dork, and I love it. Aaron Paul's character is a dork, and Rami Malek, and Kid Cudi. Haven't mentioned him. I didn't know this was Kid Cudi until I looked back at the cast list to write down my notes for this, and I love Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
I just never put 2 and 2 together there. He is terrific. He is so funny as Maverick.
Yeah.
Or Liar One. It's just so much fun. Stealing an Apache helicopter, a news chopper, just all that fun stuff. I love Kid Cudi in this. And I think for our final note, I'm going to run through some of my favourite lines that I wrote down. Now, this is one from Dino, talking to Aaron Paul about his dead father.
Yeah.
Dino says, "I heard you were close." About his dad.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry about, like, your dad's death."
Yeah,
like,
I heard you were close.
I heard you were close.
No shit. They ran an entire mechanic place together. Later on, in that same scene, Dino says, "I didn't come here to insult you," after directly insulting Aaron Paul.
Yeah.
I can't remember specifically, but just rips him into him. The other characters go to punch him, it seems, and he's like, I'm not here to insult you.
Yeah.
Well, Dino probably should have done something else. Later again, in that exact same scene, Dino, "I'm here to make peace and money." That line goes hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Could have solved Iraq with that line. George Bush going in, "I'm here to make peace and money." Just be honest about your intentions, Bush.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a deep cut?
No comment.
No comment. Rami Malek trying to flirt with some women at the reveal of Carroll Shelby's Mustang. Great line, by the way. Carroll Shelby, a real inspiration as a car man. And Carroll Shelby's Mustang being sort of a driving force behind the initial part of the movie. I love that idea. Rami Malek hitting on some women. We're mechanics. Not afraid to get our hands dirty. Know what I mean? It doesn't work. The women are not interested in that, funnily enough.
No.
Would you be, hypothetically?
I don't know. I think that I would think it's like, not afraid to get our hands dirty. It's like, are you afraid to get them clean though before?
Yeah. You got to sanitize. You got to be able to wash your hands. Yeah. No woman wants,
oil grease.
No one wants that. Don't do that. Petey, talking about Carroll Shelby's Mustang. My favourite way was just the line delivery of this line.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Carroll Shelby's Mustang to Imogen Poots. It's 900 horsepower. Baby. The pause, I exaggerated for effect there. Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. I don't know who Petey
is on that man.
Exactly. I don't know who Petey's actor is, and I've never seen him in anything else.
He has striking blue eyes.
He does. He looks like a puppy.
Ugh. I mean, puppies don't have blue eyes, but wait, no.
They could. Do they not?
Do puppies have blue eyes?
Hold on.
Or is that kittens? I feel like kittens have blue eyes.
Just a slight interlude here, folks, as we look up if puppies have blue eyes. Puppy blue eyes. This podcast is sponsored by the Google search engine and Opera.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they do have eyes for a little bit by the looks of it.
Now.
Oh, look at that. You see, Petey looks like whatever this puppy is on Reddit from r/or. Piercing blue eyes from my man Petey here. Just Petey, talking to Imogen Poots, trying to flirt with her about England. I really love Piers Morgan. Did you forget he said that?
I forgot.
Because I didn't. I wrote that down immediately.
Do you love Piers Morgan?
I don't think so.
No.
From what I know about Piers Morgan, that's like...
He says some really shit things.
Yeah.
Like, he has some shit takes.
I have seen him, like, cry and leave his show when people hashtag debate him.
He'll, like... He's become... from what I've seen on TikTok, he's become, like, somewhat progressive. Like, he's kind of understanding...
Also, keep in mind, we could be entirely wrong. We're both Australian. We don't know anything about Piers Morgan.
No, but I've seen clips, like, because there was older clips of him being transphobic or just anti-LGBT. But then I've seen ones where he'll, like, talk to one person and talk to, like, a trans person.
Mm-hmm.
And then they explain, like, you know, their identity. And it's like, okay, so you're normal. And then they go to the next person and they have, like, a slightly different identity. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was a cis man just saying that they're cis and saying that Piers Morgan is cis. And then Piers Morgan's like, I am not cis! I am just a man!
Okay, so he is kind of still quite problematic.
Oh, yeah.
But there are worse ones, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
He's like a grandparent who doesn't really get it and kind of has issues with some things, but is, like, mostly fine.
Yeah.
But our grandparents don't host multi-million-dollar talk shows, so...
Supports the lifestyle, but...
Yeah. And then when you actually ask them questions, you realise, oh no. Moving on. As Rami Malek is naked, leaving his job, he gets in an elevator with an old woman, and he starts talking to her about the car, and he says, blah, 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 the car is fast, but there's some issues with it. We need to change the setup. The woman then says, I'm in accounting. Rami Malek looks at her and says, doesn't it feel like you're dying inside? She responds, looking him in the eyes and saying, yes. She then looks at his junk, looks back at him, and he says, it's cold in here. I think that's my favourite exchange in the entire film.
Hashtag shrinkage is real.
Hashtag shrinkage. George Costanza would understand. I just, that whole bit of just doesn't it feel like you're dying inside? Her sincere yes. Him being naked. I can't get over it. Well, probably my favourite line from Imogen Poots' character, which is after they get hit by a truck, is her talking to Aaron Paul and saying, you learn a lot about a person when they've been hit by a truck.
Absolutely based.
Gotta be true. I don't know anyone who's been hit by a truck, but I imagine when they do get hit by a truck, it'll just bring us closer together.
We have a friend, I won't tell you right now, because obviously we're not just going to dox our friend. Well, we know two people of my friend group that have been hit by cars.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not a truck though, notably.
No,
so you learn a bit about them.
I'm pretty sure that one of them was actually hit by a truck. I'll have to ask them.
Did you learn more about them through that experience?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They broke their arm.
They broke their arm?
And their dad broke their leg.
So we've learnt that they haven't been drinking enough milk.
Yes.
And they need to up their calcium.
Yes.
Okay, pro tip, survive a car crash, drink your milk.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, my favourite line of the film, my favourite single line, my favourite exchange is Rami Malek, but this is Michael Keaton's character. Toby Marshall, Aaron Paul does a sick pass in between two cars, and Michael Keaton says, Marshall's balls have been located and they are very, very large.
That was a banger of a line.
Yeah, I definitely give the film a watch if you haven't. If you have any nostalgia for Need for Speed as a franchise, or if you love corny car movies, or if you like Aaron Paul or Michael Keaton or Rami Malek, there'll be something in this movie for you. It's a movie you can watch while you're making dinner, or while you're on your phone, or while you're reading a book. but definitely give it a go. No idea what streaming service it's on now. I got it on Blu-ray for about $3 on clearance from JB Hi-Fi. But it's definitely worth a go, I think. The pacing of it's a little iffy at times, but it's got decent number of jokes. It's got a decent amount of racing. And I think the cast is just really fun and really great. I feel like if the cast was different, we'd be talking about this movie differently.
Yeah.
I think I just love Michael Keaton.
And I love Aaron Paul.
Yeah, and then the supporting cast, it's great. Give it a go. Maybe would we call it a hidden gem? Maybe not a hidden gem, but more like
no, I wouldn't say it's hidden.
Maybe it's like digging through your sock drawer.
Yeah.
Or your junk drawer, and you find like $3 in change.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like a really cool sock.
Oh,
that you forgot about.
No, it's like finding a bit of change in your junk drawer. It's not like life changing.
Yeah.
But you might buy yourself something from a vending machine. You know, you might spring for something a bit more at McDonald's when you go later.
Nice.
It's just something that's going to make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think it's a movie a lot of people have forgotten about, considering it actually made a profit at the box office. Probably entirely off Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul's back, because this is like peak Breaking Bad recency.
Yeah, would that be... Wait, when in the Breaking Bad timeline
I'm pretty sure... Oh, crap, I don't know. Watching Breaking Bad years after it finished airing, I now have no idea when it finished airing.
Oh, also another thing to note. So we watched this earlier on in the week, and then we watched, the last 2 or 3
episodes of Breaking Bad.
So...
It was quite...
quite a contrast.
The final... Okay, so this is this released less than a year after the final episode of Breaking Bad. So yeah, definitely just all... So much hype came from Aaron Paul's, like, one of his first big acting roles.
Yeah.
And that probably helped the movie make all its money. But it's a fun movie. If you want to put on look, when I watch movies, I really love commenting them and making a bit of fun of them and pointing out silly stuff, even when it's movies I love like this. If you're that kind of person, you're going to love this movie. And even if you're not, give it a go. Get some people around. Instead of watching Fast and Furious 7, watch this, you know? Yeah, I think that's all I've got to cover for today.
Yeah, do we want to talk a little bit about the future of this podcast?
Yeah, so just a general structure thing with the podcast, being us 2 co-hosts with Anastasia and myself, we're kind of going to have Ryan episodes and Anastasia episodes, where we do the bulk of writing, alternating probably weekly. It might change depending on how organised we are or what's going on in our lives. Me being the primary host for this one, the next episode will likely be Anastasia as the primary host. And basically we're going to be covering all sorts of things. We've got planned episodes. I know in my regard, I want to talk about Ratchet and Clank, ABC 3, Good Game, especially, just all sorts of things from our past. And yeah, I think we're just going to see where this goes. Understand?
Yeah. I guess a lot of it will be working around my honours schedule. Hopefully, I'm currently in the middle of my first trimester, so hopefully we'll be able to do some stuff maybe during my trimester break, or we can just try and work it out just around my assessments, really. Some topics that I've kind of been brainstorming, My Little Pony. I specifically want to do an episode going through just the whole history of My Little Pony, and then maybe further down the line, specifically Friendship is Magic, because I feel like that's a whole nother subject of its own. Some video games like Animal Crossing. I was thinking of doing a video podcast about the Imagine game series, which was a primarily DS series. It's very interesting, the history of that.
Yeah, but this is definitely a passion project for the both of us, and it's gonna the format might change a
Yeah.
little bit week to week. I feel, both of us feel there's too many white guys sitting around having a chat podcast, so we definitely,
Yeah.
well, I'm sure you could tell much of this was scripted, and that's probably not going to change because that's definitely the form of content that I personally prefer. Shout out to Ship Hits the Fan as a podcast. Charlotte and Patrick, I love that. The way that they conduct themselves, that's definitely been an inspiration. And then in regards to certain YouTubers, Casey, Kacey, their content is terrific in regards to racing games, and that's something that I was inspired by a lot with this, and that's kind of the format we want to choose. We want to keep something structured. Yeah,
I guess I'm very similar. I think that my podcast inspiration is probably the BCC Club with oh my gosh, I can't remember her last name, but Kendall and Sarah Shower, who are both hilarious. And then also Izzy ZZZ, who is a New Zealander who does some really good stuff, and a Garth fanatic like me. Which is another thing. I'll be doing a Garfield episode because we'll be sharing our socials.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out. We'll try to update some social stuff down the line. Hopefully, well, maybe not a Twitter, depending on the state of Twitter.
Yeah.
Depending on how that
Hey,
goes.
it's fairly dependent on that.
Well, basically we're just going to look and see and try and grow this together and use it as a good passion project for the both of us, and we'll see where we go in the future.
Yeah, so thank you to anyone who has decided to join us.
Yeah, and if you made it this far of the episode, we thank you. I'm sure once we go down the line, we'll get more structure with our episode releases, but otherwise, we will see you on the next one.
All right, bye. Hey everyone, Anastasia here. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of the Nostalgia Bait podcast. We've been working pretty hard behind the scenes to bring the podcast to YouTube, so leave a comment down below to let us know what you think. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We have a couple of videos you can check out with many more to come. We're planning on releasing podcast episodes weekly to catch up with our Spotify, so keep on the lookout for our next episode on Garfield. But if you can't wait, you can go to the link in the description to our Spotify and continue listening to Nostalgic Deep Dives, including our latest podcast on the history of the DS, which is being uploaded right as this episode airs. Catch you later!